At 15:47 hours on September 14, 1944, Staff Sergeant Raymond Kowalski crouched behind the breech of his 76mm gun outside Lunéville, France, watching 11 Panther tanks roll down Route Nationale, 4 in tight column formation. Distance, 700 yards and closing. Speed, approximately 15 miles per hour. Time to engagement, approximately 2 minutes. Standard United States Army Tank Destroyer doctrine said fire one aimed shot, assess the hit, relocate immediately. Fire discipline, precision. Survival through controlled aggression. Kowalski had followed that doctrine for 8 weeks. He had scored 4 confirmed kills. His battalion had lost 3 tank destroyers. He had watched 6 crew members die. The math did not work. The M18 Hellcat sat concealed in a tree line 40 yards back from the road. Open top turret, 76mm gun, 18 tons. Fastest tracked vehicle in the war at 55 miles per hour. The speed was its primary defense. Hit fast, shoot fast, run fast. Kowalski's crew consisted of 3 men. Private First Class Tommy Chen drove. 22 years old, San Francisco, mechanic before the war. Chen kept the Ford GAA engine running at idle, ready for immediate movement after firing. Corporal Jake Morrison loaded. 19 years old, Kansas, farm kid with fast hands. Morrison had a high-velocity armor-piercing round already seated in the breech. One hand rested on the next round. Lieutenant Marcus Webb commanded the platoon from a separate M18 positioned 200 yards behind Kowalski. Webb's voice crackled through the radio headset every 30 seconds. Updates. Distance estimates. Reminders to hold fire. The 11 Panthers maintained perfect spacing on the road, 15 to 20 yards between vehicles. Panther AUSF-G tanks, 75mm guns, 45 tons each, frontal armor 80mm thick. The M18's 76mm gun could penetrate that armor at ranges under 1,000 yards if the shot hit correctly. Infantry rode on the back decks of each Panther, 6 to 8 soldiers per tank. That meant 70 to 85 German infantry plus 55 tank crew members. Approximately 130 enemy soldiers in this column, moving south through American-controlled territory. The Panthers approached Kowalski's kill zone with mechanical precision. German armor doctrine emphasized road movement, tight formations, maximum speed, minimum dispersal. 50-ton tanks could not maneuver quickly off improved roads. Once committed to a road, they were locked in, predictable, vulnerable. American doctrine said exploit that vulnerability. Establish ambush positions. First shot disables the lead vehicle. Second shot disables the trail vehicle. The column is trapped between burning tanks. Then eliminate the middle vehicles systematically. One by one. Methodical destruction. Theory was perfect. Practice was fatal. Kowalski had watched 4 ambushes fail using that exact doctrine. 4 different crews, 4 perfect positions, 4 dead tank destroyer teams. The pattern never changed. American gunner fired first shot. Lead Panther exploded or stopped. Every remaining German tank immediately traversed its gun toward the American muzzle flash. 11 75mm cannons firing at one position. The math was simple. 11 Germans' guns versus 1 American gun. The American died. July 12, near St. Lo. Sergeant David Martinez commanded the ambush. Martinez killed the lead Panther with his first shot at 900 yards. Textbook accuracy. 11 German Tigers immediately returned fire. Martinez's tank destroyer was destroyed in 22 seconds. Martinez and his entire crew died. July 28, near Coutances. Lieutenant Richard Hayes set up a 3-tank destroyer ambush. Doctrine perfect positioning. Hayes got both his shots off. Disabled the lead Panther and the trail Panther. The column was trapped exactly as doctrine intended. 9 remaining Panthers fired a coordinated salvo. All 3 American tank destroyers were destroyed within 1 minute. Hayes survived with burns covering 40% of his body. He was sent home. He never returned to combat. August 15th outside Argentan. Kowalski had witnessed that one personally. His best friend, Sergeant Paul Novak, commanded the ambush tank destroyer. Perfect position, perfect angle, perfect first shot. Novak killed the lead Panther instantly. Started traversing toward the second target. German return fire hit Novak's ammunition storage. The M18 exploded. Kowalski heard Novak screaming on the radio for 8 seconds before the transmission cut. They retrieved Novak's body 3 hours later. Kowalski could not identify him except by his dog tags. The 704 Tank Destroyer Battalion had landed at Normandy on June 6, 1944. In 3 months of combat, the battalion had destroyed 23 German tanks. The battalion had lost 19 tank destroyers, nearly 1-to-1 exchange ratio. Germany was producing 6,000 Panthers. America was producing 2,500 M18s. The mathematics did not favor sustained operations. 650 yards now. The lead Panthers commander stood in his cupola. Young officer, probably 24 or 25 years old. He scanned the tree line with binoculars, looked directly at Kowalski's position. The camouflage was working. The German saw nothing. Kowalski's hands rested on the traverse control and the firing trigger. His eye was pressed to the telescopic sight. The lead Panther filled his vision. Standard aiming point. Driver's viewport. One shot there would immobilize the tank, trap the column, execute doctrine. But Kowalski was thinking about something different. Something he had thought of 3 days earlier while cleaning his gun. Something that violated every principle of fire discipline. Something that might work when doctrine meant death. The M18's hydraulic traverse could swing the turret 360 degrees in 20 seconds. Fastest traverse speed of any tank or tank destroyer in the war. German Panthers needed 60 seconds for the same rotation. 3 times slower. The 76mm gun could fire 8 rounds per minute sustained. That was 1 round every 7.5 seconds. Morrison could load faster under adrenaline. Maybe 1 round every 6 seconds. What if you did not aim? What if you fired continuously while traversing across the entire column? 11 tanks spread across 200 yards of road. Sweep your gun across that space while firing as fast as Morrison could load. 8 shots in maybe 30 seconds. Some would miss, some would hit. The chaos would be immediate. Germans could not return accurate fire if they could not predict where you were aiming next. Kowalski had mentioned this to Lieutenant Webb 3 days ago. Webb said it violated every principle of tank destroyer doctrine, wasted ammunition, reduced accuracy from 60% to maybe 20%, risked barrel overheating, required firing without a proper sight picture. Webb's exact words, "Sergeant, that is the stupidest tactical concept I have ever heard. Fire discipline exists for a reason." Kowalski had nodded, said nothing, cleaned his gun, thought about 6 dead crew members, 600 yards. The infantry started dismounting from the Panther decks. Standard German procedure approaching potential contact areas. Tanks would engage armor threats. Infantry would clear flanking positions. The German commander was professional, cautious, prepared, but they were still on the road, still in formation, still locked into predictable geometry. 550 yards. Webb's voice crackled through the radio. "All units, lead tank entering primary kill zone. Stand by. Morrison," shifted his weight. The next round was ready. Chen had the transmission in first gear. Engine revolutions increased slightly. Ready to move the instant Kowalski fired. 500 yards. Kowalski centered his sight reticle on the lead Panther's driver viewport. Standard doctrine, standard aim point, standard procedure that had killed 4 crews in 8 weeks. 450 yards. Webb. "All units, prepare to engage on my mark." Kowalski's finger moved to the traverse control. Not the firing trigger yet. The traverse control. Morrison noticed. Said nothing. Chen noticed. Said nothing. They had discussed this possibility 2 nights ago. They understood what Kowalski was planning. 400 yards. The lead Panther was 30 seconds from Kowalski's planned firing point. 350 yards. Webb. 5 seconds. Kowalski made his decision. He was not following doctrine. He was doing it his way. Morrison's way. Chen's way. The way that might keep them alive. Webb, the 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion, landed at Utah Beach on June 8, 1944, 2 days after D-Day. The battalion consisted of 36 M18 Hellcat tank destroyers, organized into 3 companies. Each company had 12 vehicles. Each vehicle had a crew of 5 men. 180 soldiers, whose job was killing German tanks. By September 14th, the battalion had been in continuous combat for 98 days. Combat record: 23 German tanks destroyed, 19 American tank destroyers lost. 4 M18s remained operational in excess of battalion authorized strength due to replacement vehicles. But replacement vehicles did not replace the dead crews. The mathematics were simple and catastrophic. Nearly 1-to-1 exchange ratio. For every German tank destroyed, America lost 0.83 tank destroyers. Sustainable for neither side, but Germany had deeper reserves. German production capacity, approximately 6,000 Panther tanks manufactured between January 1943 and April 1945. American production capacity, approximately 2,500 M18 tank destroyers manufactured during the same period, less than half German output. The strategic calculus was clear. America could not win a war of attrition against German armor using current tactics. The first tactical failure occurred on July 12, 1944, near Saint-Lô. Sergeant David Martinez commanded the ambush. Martinez was 26 years old, Los Angeles, 3 years Army service, gunnery school honor graduate, accuracy rating 92%, best gunner in the battalion. Martinez positioned his M18 in a hedgerow overlooking a road junction. Intelligence reported a German column moving east. Estimated 6 to 8 tanks. Martinez had perfect fields of fire. 900 yards to the road, elevated position, covered approach and withdrawal routes. The German column arrived at 1300 hours. 11 Tiger tanks. Not 6 to 8 Panthers as intelligence had reported. Tigers were heavier, better armored, more dangerous. But Martinez's position was strong. His crew was experienced. He had trained for exactly this scenario. Martinez waited until the lead Tiger was centered in his kill zone. Fired one shot. High-velocity, armor-piercing round. Impact, driver's viewport. The Tiger stopped immediately. Tracks locked. Crew attempted to bail out. Martinez had executed perfect doctrine. Lead vehicle disabled. Column trapped. Then 11 German guns traversed toward his muzzle flash. 11 Tigers. 11 88mm cannons. 11 veteran crews who had survived 2 years of Eastern Front combat against Soviet armor. The German return fire was immediate and coordinated. No panic, no confusion. Pure professional violence. 88mm rounds walked toward Martinez's position. First salvo. 3 rounds hit within 10 yards. Second salvo. 2 direct hits. Martinez's M18 exploded. The open-top turret provided no protection against plunging fire. All 5 crew members died instantly. Total engagement time: 22 seconds from Martinez's first shot to his death. The battalion lost one of its best gunners. The Germans lost 1 immobilized Tiger that was recovered and repaired within 48 hours. Exchange ratio: catastrophic. The second failure occurred July 28 near Coutances. Lieutenant Richard Hayes commanded 3 M18s in a coordinated ambush. Hayes was 24 years old. West Point class of 1943. Studied armor tactics under instructors who had analyzed North Africa campaigns. Hayes understood the doctrine deeply, believed in it completely. Hayes positioned his 3 tank destroyers in a textbook L-shaped ambush, primary gun oriented toward the expected German approach. 2 supporting guns angled to provide overlapping fire. Perfect execution of field. Manual diagrams. The German column appeared at 14:30 hours. 9 Panthers in tight formation. Hayes waited until 8 Panthers were in the kill zone, then executed the doctrine precisely. His primary gun fired at the lead Panther. His second gun fired simultaneously at the trail Panther. Both shots hit. Both Panthers stopped. The column was trapped between 2 burning vehicles, exactly as doctrine intended. The middle 7 Panthers did not panic, did not attempt to flee. German commanders recognized an ambush, recognized multiple firing positions, executed their counter-ambush doctrine. All 7 operational Panthers fired coordinated salvos at the 3 American positions. The Germans had identified the L-shaped ambush pattern, had trained against it, had developed specific counter-tactics. First American position, destroyed by direct hits from 3 Panthers. Second position, destroyed by 2 Panthers. Third position, suppressed by concentrated fire, then destroyed when attempting to relocate. Hayes survived. His driver got the M18 moving before the killing blow landed, but Hayes took shrapnel from a near miss. Burns covered his face, neck, chest, and arms, 40% of his body surface. He was evacuated to England, then to Walter Reed Hospital in Washington. He never returned to combat. His 2 wingmen died with their crews. 10 American soldiers killed. 2 German tanks destroyed. 7 German tanks withdrew intact and continued their mission. The ambush failed completely. Total engagement time: 58 seconds from first shot to destruction of all 3 American positions. The third failure was different, personal. August 15th, outside Argentan. Sergeant Paul Novak commanded the ambush. Novak was Kowalski's best friend. They had gone through gunnery school together, landed at Normandy together, shared a tent, shared rations, shared stories about home. Novak was 23 years old. Pittsburgh. Father worked steel mills. Novak understood machinery, precision, and heat. He was a good gunner. Not the best, but reliable. Steady under pressure. The kind of soldier who kept other soldiers alive. Novak positioned his M18 in woods adjacent to Route Nationale 12. Intelligence reported a German supply column, soft targets, trucks and half-tracks, easy mission, low risk. The intelligence was wrong. 8 Panthers appeared instead of trucks. Novak radioed for instructions. Battalion command ordered him to engage if opportunity presented. Destroy what he could. Withdraw if threatened. Novak waited until the lead Panther was 800 yards from his position. Fired. Perfect shot. Penetrated the Panther's turret. Catastrophic ammunition detonation. The Panther exploded so violently that debris landed 70 yards away. Novak began traversing toward the second Panther. Standard doctrine. Disable lead vehicle. Disable second vehicle. Withdraw before the enemy responds. He never got the second shot off. 7 Panthers returned fire simultaneously. They did not wait to identify Novak's exact position. They simply saturated the woodline with high explosive rounds. Bracketing fire. Systematic destruction of the probable firing position. One 75mm round hit Novak's ammunition storage. 45 rounds of 76mm ammunition detonated simultaneously. The explosion was visible from Kowalski's position 3 miles away. Kowalski heard Novak on the radio, heard him screaming. Not words, just screaming. 8 seconds of transmission before the radio cut out. They recovered Novak's body 3 hours later after the German column moved on. Kowalski helped with the recovery. Kowalski could not identify his best friend except by the dog tags that somehow survived the explosion. The body was burned beyond recognition. Pieces were missing. Kowalski threw up twice during the recovery. That night, Kowalski stopped believing in doctrine. Doctrine had killed Martinez. Doctrine had maimed Hayes. Doctrine had burned Novak alive in a metal box that was supposed to keep him safe. The pattern was clear. American tank destroyer crews executed perfect doctrine. German tank crews expected perfect doctrine. German crews had trained against perfect doctrine for 2 years on the Eastern Front against Soviet tanks. German crews were not surprised. not confused, not disrupted. They simply executed their counter-doctrine and killed Americans. Kowalski understood something that night. Doctrine was predictable. Predictable was deadly. The Germans knew exactly what Americans would do, where Americans would shoot, how Americans would maneuver, when Americans would withdraw. The Americans had to break the pattern or keep dying. Someone had to try something different, something unauthorized, something that violated the rules that were getting good soldiers killed. 3 days later, Kowalski would try. But first, he had to figure out what different looked like. Voice. Fire. Raymond Kowalski was 23 years old, born February 6, 1921, Detroit, Michigan. His father, Stefan Kowalski, worked the Ford River Rouge plant assembly line for 18 years. Built cars, understood production speed, mechanical tolerances, and the difference between precision and efficiency. Raymond grew up around machinery, spent weekends in his father's garage, learned that sometimes speed mattered more than perfection. A car engine did not need perfect tolerances to run. It needed good enough tolerances and consistent operation. Volume production versus craft work. Different philosophies for different problems. Kowalski enlisted December 9, 1942, 2 days after graduating high school, tank destroyer training at Fort Hood, Texas. Gunnery school lasted 12 weeks. Kowalski scored 87% accuracy, not the highest score in his class. That honor went to a kid from Vermont who scored 94%. But Kowalski was faster. Target acquisition to trigger pull. 4.2 seconds average. The Vermont kid needed 6.8 seconds. Speed versus precision. Kowalski understood the trade-off. He graduated March 1943, shipped to North Africa. Saw no combat. War in Tunisia ended May 13th before his unit deployed forward. Transferred to England, January 1944. Preparation for the Normandy invasion. Endless training, practice ambushes, live fire exercises. Doctrine drilled into every crew until the movements became automatic. Landed Utah Beach June 8th. First combat June 15th near Carrington. Destroyed one Panzer IV at 1100 yards. Clean kill. Textbook shot. The Panzer burned. 3 crew members bailed out. 2 were on fire, screaming. Kowalski watched them die. Realized this was not like gunnery school. Targets did not scream. By September, Kowalski had killed crews in 4 German tanks. Never got used to it, learned to compartmentalize. Think about the machine, not the men inside. Think about metal and angles and mathematics. Not about burning human beings. September 11th, 1944. Maintenance Day. Kowalski cleaned his 76mm gun. Checked the hydraulic traverse system. Technical Sergeant Frank Murphy supervised maintenance. Murphy was 34 years old. Chicago. Former carnival ride operator before the war. Murphy understood hydraulics, rotation speed, and mechanical advantage. Murphy mentioned the M18 had the fastest turret traverse of any armored vehicle in the war. 360 degrees in 20 seconds. German Panthers needed 60 seconds for the same rotation. German Tigers needed over a minute, 3 times slower than the Hellcat. Kowalski asked why that mattered. Murphy explained, "Speed is a weapon if you use it right. Most tankers think traverse speed is for target switching. Shoot one target, swing to the next, shoot again. But speed can do other things. Confuse the enemy. Make them guess where you are aiming next." Kowalski thought about that while cleaning. Started calculating. M18 could fire 8 rounds per minute sustained. 1 round every 7.5 seconds. Morrison, his loader, could probably do better under combat conditions. Maybe 1 round every 6 seconds. Adrenaline made people faster. The turret could traverse 360 degrees in 20 seconds. That meant 18 degrees per second of rotation. A German column with 11 tanks spread across 200 yards of road represented approximately 30 degrees of arc, from Kowalski's typical ambush distance of 700 to 800 yards. 30 degrees at 18 degrees per second meant traversing across the entire column took roughly 1.7 seconds. But firing while traversing would slow the rotation. Call it 10 seconds to sweep across while firing continuously. 10 seconds. Morrison could load perhaps 8 rounds in that time if he worked fast. 8 shots across 11 targets. Most would miss. Accuracy would drop from 60% aimed fire to maybe 20% traverse fire. 8 shots at 20% hit rate equaled 1.6 expected hits. Standard doctrine was 2 aimed shots at 60% hit rate. That equaled 1.2 expected hits. Kowalski's method would statistically produce more hits, marginally, but the real advantage was not mathematics. The real advantage was unpredictability. Germans expected aimed fire, expected to see a muzzle flash, identify the position, return coordinated fire. If the American was traversing rapidly while firing, Germans could not predict the next aim point, could not coordinate their return fire effectively. Confusion would delay their response. Delay meant survival. Kowalski mentioned this to Murphy. Murphy stared at him for 10 seconds, then said, "That is either brilliant or insane, probably both, definitely against regulations." The next day, Kowalski mentioned it to Lieutenant Webb. September 12, 1944. Lieutenant Marcus Webb's command tent, 1500 hours. Webb was 26 years old, West Point class of 1941, graduated ranked 47th out of 214 cadets. Not top of his class, but competent. Professional. Webb commanded the Tank Destroyer Platoon since Normandy. Lost 4 vehicles. Saved 11 crew members through proper application of doctrine and tactical discipline. Webb's survival rate was better than battalion average. Battalion average. 62% crew survival after vehicle loss. Webb's platoon. 87% crew survival. The difference was adherence to established procedures. Webb believed in doctrine because doctrine kept soldiers alive. Kowalski presented his idea, explained the traverse fire concept. Continuous firing while rotating across multiple targets. Speed and unpredictability versus aimed precision. Webb listened without interrupting. When Kowalski finished, Webb asked 3 questions. First question: how many rounds would you expend? Kowalski answered, 8 to 12 rounds per engagement, possibly more. Webb noted the M18 carried 45 rounds total ammunition. 12 rounds represented 27% of total load. One engagement would consume over 1/4 of available ammunition. Second question: what is your expected accuracy? Kowalski answered, 20 to 30% hit rate. Webb noted standard doctrine accuracy was 60%. Kowalski's method sacrificed 2/3 of the accuracy. Third question: what happens to your barrel after sustained rapid fire? Kowalski had no good answer. Sustained fire generated extreme heat. Heat warped barrels. Warped barrels reduced accuracy further. Barrel replacement required depot-level maintenance. 2 to 3 days minimum without the vehicle in combat operations. Webb made his decision. Sergeant, your proposal violates fire discipline for 4 specific reasons. Reason 1. Ammunition conservation. Doctrine emphasized controlled fire because resupply was uncertain. Units could not count on regular ammunition delivery. Wasting rounds on low-probability shots was tactically irresponsible. Reason 2. Barrel life. The 76mm gun was designed for intermittent fire with cooling periods between shots. Sustained rapid fire exceeded design parameters. Reason 3. Accuracy reduction. Gunnery school taught aimed fire because aimed fire killed targets. 20% accuracy meant 80% of rounds missed. Missed rounds wasted ammunition and revealed position without achieving kills. Reason 4. Doctrine existed for valid reasons. 2 years of North Africa and Italy combat experience had refined tank destroyer tactics, hundreds of engagements, thousands of data points. The current doctrine represented institutional knowledge, purchased with blood. Webb's final statement. Sergeant, that is the stupidest tactical concept I have ever heard. Fire discipline exists for a reason. Your job is to follow orders. My job is to keep you alive. Trust the doctrine. Kowalski said, Yes, sir. Stood at attention, saluted, left the tent. He did not argue, did not press the issue. Arguing with officers accomplished nothing. But walking back to his vehicle, Kowalski thought about 6 dead crew members, thought about Novak screaming on the radio, thought about Martinez and Hayes and 4 good crews who followed doctrine perfectly and died anyway. That evening, Kowalski talked to his crew, Morrison and Chen, told them about Webb's rejection, told them he was considering trying the tactic anyway if the right situation presented itself. Morrison asked, What is the right situation? Kowalski answered, When following doctrine means we die. Chen asked, You are willing to face court-martial? Kowalski answered, I am willing to face court-martial instead of dying. September 13th, battalion briefing. Intelligence reported German Panzer column moving south from Lunéville toward American positions. Estimated 10 to 15 tanks. Mission: establish ambush, interdict German movement, inflict maximum casualties. Webb's platoon drew primary ambush duty. Kowalski's M18 would occupy the closest position to expected German approach. Webb's command vehicle would provide overwatch 200 yards behind. Standard doctrine, standard positioning, standard orders that had gotten 4 crews killed in 8 weeks. Kowalski conducted pre-combat maintenance, checked traverse hydraulics twice. Morrison practiced loading drills until he could consistently load 1 round every 6.2 seconds. September 14th, 0600 hours. Movement to ambush position. By 15:30 hours, they were dug in, camouflaged, waiting. 15:37 hours. Chen spotted movement on Route Nationale 4. 11 Panthers. Tight column formation. 700 yards and closing. Time to decide, follow doctrine and probably die, or try something unauthorized and possibly survive. 15:37 hours. Chen's voice through the intercom. Movement on the road. 2,000 yards north. Kowalski shifted to his gun sight. Adjusted magnification. Saw shapes moving through the heat shimmer. Too far for positive identification. Webb's voice on the radio. All units. Possible contact bearing 010 degrees. Stand by for identification. 15:41 hours. Distance, 1,800 yards. Kowalski could see details now through his optics. Turret shapes, angular hulls, gun mantlets, Panthers, definitely Panthers, counted them. 11 vehicles. Chen. Positive identification. Panthers. Count 11 vehicles in column formation. Webb. Confirmed. 11 Panthers. Spacing approximately 15 to 20 yards. Speed estimate 15 miles per hour. Weapons hold until my command. Standard ambush. Protocol. Wait until maximum targets entered the kill zone. Wait until the range closed to ensure first shot kills. Wait until retreat was difficult for the enemy. Kowalski watched the Panthers roll closer. 1,600 yards. The column maintained tight formation. No scouts forward. No spacing variations. Textbook German road march. Infantry rode on each Panther's engine deck. 6 to 8 soldiers per vehicle. Helmets visible. Rifles slung. They sat casually, not expecting contact. The German commander believed this road was secure. 1,500 yards. Kowalski could see individual tank commanders in their cupolas. 3 of them scanned the tree line with binoculars. Professional, cautious, but not alarmed. Morrison whispered, "They do not see us." Chen, "Camouflage is working." Kowalski said nothing. His right hand rested on the traverse control, left hand near the firing trigger. Eye pressed to the sight reticle. The lead Panther centered in his optics. 1,400 yards. Webb's voice, All units maintain weapons hold. Wait for lead element to enter primary kill zone. The primary kill zone was marked by 2 distinctive trees at 700 yards. Standard doctrine said engage when lead vehicle was between those trees. First shot would trap the column. Second shot would seal the trap. 1300 yards. The infantry started dismounting. Standard German procedure approaching potential ambush areas. Tanks would fight armor. Infantry would clear flanks and suppress anti-tank positions. 85 German infantry spread into the ditches on both sides of the road. They moved with discipline. Combat veterans. Probably survivors of Eastern Front. Men who had fought Soviet tanks and lived. 1200 yards. The Panthers slowed slightly. Tank commanders were scanning more actively now. Something made them cautious. Perhaps the terrain. Perhaps instinct. Perhaps they sensed American presence. Kowalski's heart rate increased. He could feel his pulse in his neck, hands steady but sweating inside his gloves. Morrison breathed heavily through his mouth. Chen adjusted his grip on the steering controls. 1,000 yards. Webb. Lead element approaching kill zone. Stand by. Kowalski centered his reticle on the lead Panther's driver viewport. Standard aiming point. The shot that doctrine demanded. The shot that had gotten 4 crews killed. But his right hand stayed on the traverse control. Not standard position. Standard position was both hands steadying the gun. One hand on elevation. One hand on fine traverse adjustment. Precise aim required precise control. Kowalski's hand on the power traverse control meant something different. Meant rapid rotation. Meant abandoning precision for speed. Morrison noticed. Said nothing. But his breathing changed. Faster. Shallower. He understood what Kowalski planned. 900 yards. The lead Panther passed the first marker tree. 800 yards. The Panther rolled toward the second marker tree. Toward the center of the kill zone. Toward the point where Webb would give the fire command. 750 yards. Infantry was fully dismounted now. Spread across 200 yards of frontage. They moved toward the tree line. Toward Kowalski's position. Not directly. Flanking movement. Standard tactics. 700 yards. The lead Panther sat between the marker trees. Perfect position. 11 Panthers spread across 220 yards of road. All visible. All vulnerable. Perfect ambush geometry. Webb's voice. All units. Lead element in kill zone. Prepare to engage on my mark. Kowalski's finger touched the firing trigger. His other hand gripped the traverse control. Morrison's hand held the next round. Chen shifted the transmission into first gear. Engine revolutions increased from idle. Ready to move. Webb. 5 seconds. Kowalski took one breath. Held it. Made his final decision. He was not following doctrine. He was trying something that had never been done in combat. Something that violated regulations. Something that might save his life or end his career. Webb. 4 seconds. Morrison whispered. Whatever you do, I am with you. Webb. 3 seconds. Chen. Ready to move on your command. Webb. 2 seconds. Kowalski's finger tightened on the trigger. His hand activated the power traverse. The turret began rotating. Right. Slowly. Building momentum. Webb. 1 second. Kowalski exhaled. Webb. Fire. 15:47 hours and 23 seconds. Kowalski pressed the firing trigger. Simultaneously activated the power traverse control. The turret swung right, fast. 18 degrees per second rotation speed. The 76mm gun fired. Recoil rocked the M18's hull backward 6 inches. The muzzle blast kicked up dust and leaves in a 40-foot radius. Morrison already had the next round moving. Hands fast. Muscle memory from 300 practice drills. Slammed the round home. Breech closed. Automatically, 1.9 seconds after the first shot. Kowalski never looked to see if the first round hit, never checked the lead Panther. His eye stayed in the sight. The reticle swept right across his field of view, traversing across the column. He kept his finger on the trigger. Second shot, 2.1 seconds after first shot. The gun was still traversing. The reticle crossed the second Panther. Kowalski's sight picture was blurred. Moving target, moving gun. No time for precise aim. He fired where the reticle was pointing. Trusted speed over accuracy. Morrison. Up. Third round loaded. Webb's voice screaming over the radio. Cease fire! Cease fire! What are you doing? Kowalski ignored him. Kept traversing. Kept firing. Third shot. 4.3 seconds elapsed. Fourth shot. 6.1 seconds. Fifth shot. 7.8 seconds. Morrison was loading faster than training standard. Adrenaline. Fear. Desperation. 6.2 seconds average per round. Faster than he had ever done in practice. Sixth shot. 9.4 seconds. Kowalski's traverse had swept across all 11 Panthers. 10.2 seconds to cross the entire column. Faster than his calculation. The power traverse was more responsive than he expected. He reversed direction. Started sweeping back left. The turret rotation reversed smoothly. No pause. Hydraulic systems responded instantly. Seventh shot. 11.1 seconds. Webb. Kowalski, I gave you an order. Cease fire immediately. Morrison. Up. Eighth round loaded. Eighth shot. 12.8 seconds elapsed from first shot. Kowalski released the firing trigger, released the traverse control. The turret stopped rotating. He looked at the results. Lead Panther. Track completely destroyed. 70 feet of metal track links scattered across the road. The tank sat immobile. Turret traversing wildly. Searching for target. Commander standing in cupola. Pointing. Shouting. Second Panther. Direct hit on turret. Catastrophic ammunition detonation. The entire turret had blown off the hull. Flames shot 40 feet into the air. Black smoke rolling. Crew members on fire running from the vehicle. 3 men. Burning. Third Panther. Miss. No visible damage. Fourth Panther. Hit on the glacis plate. No penetration. Armor too thick. But the impact had shattered the driver's vision port. The Panther slewed hard left. Drove into the ditch. Stuck. Tracks spinning. Not going anywhere. Fifth Panther. Engine compartment hit. Penetration. Fire erupted from the rear deck. Crew bailing out. 4 men running. Engine burning. Sixth Panther. Miss. No damage visible. Seventh Panther. Hit on turret ring. The junction between turret and hull. Critical vulnerability. The turret was jammed. Would not traverse. Tank could not aim its gun. Crew attempting to manually traverse. Not working. Eighth Panther. Miss. Ninth Panther. Turret hit. No penetration. But Commander was dead. Kowalski could see the body slumped in the Paminota, cupola. Spalling from the impact had killed him inside. The Panther continued moving forward slowly. No commander. No direction. 10th Panther. Catastrophic kill. Direct hit on ammunition storage. The explosion was violent. Pieces of the tank flew in every direction. Turret landed 60 yards from the road. Hull burning. No survivors. 11th Panther. Hit on lower hull near the transmission. Fire started immediately. Orange flames, white smoke, different color than fuel fires. Transmission fluid burning. Total elapsed time, 12.8 seconds from first shot to last shot. 8 rounds fired. 11 targets engaged. 4 Panthers destroyed completely. 3 Panthers immobilized. 2 Panthers damaged but potentially operational. 2 Panthers untouched. 9 out of 11 Panthers eliminated as combat threats in 12.8 seconds. The 4 operational Panthers began returning fire. Finally, 15.6 seconds after Kowalski's first shot. German reaction time was slower than normal. Confusion from multiple impacts across the formation. No single point of origin for the American fire. Crews did not know where to shoot. 75mm rounds began impacting around Kowalski's position. First round hit a tree 10 feet to the left. The tree exploded. Splinters flew. One piece hit Morrison's helmet. Did not penetrate. Morrison ducked below the turret ring. Second round impacted 20 yards behind them. Earth erupted. Dirt rained down into the open turret. Third round hit 30 yards to the right. The Germans were bracketing, walking their fire toward Kowalski's position. Standard artillery technique applied to direct fire. They had identified the general area. Now they were narrowing the target zone. Chen. We need to move. Now! Fourth German round hit 15 yards away. Close enough that the concussion wave rocked the M18 suspension. Morrison. Sergeant, we are about to die. Kowalski. Reload. One more shot. Morrison. You insane? Kowalski. Reload. Morrison slammed another round home. Up! Kowalski aimed at the 9th Panther. The one with the dead commander. Still moving slowly forward. No direction. He fired. Direct hit on the driver's viewport. The Panther stopped immediately. 10 Panthers eliminated. 1 remaining operational. 19.4 seconds elapsed from first shot. Chen did not wait for Kowalski's order. Slammed the M18 into reverse. The vehicle shot backward. 55 miles per hour, maximum speed. Chen managed 40 miles per hour backing through trees. German 75mm round impacted exactly where they had been positioned, 2.7 seconds after they moved. If Chen had waited for orders, they would be dead. Morrison. That was too close. Kowalski. Keep moving. Chen spun the M18 around, shifted into forward gear. Accelerated through the forest, 35 miles per hour through trees, branches scraping the hull, leaves and debris flying. After 200 yards, Chen broke into a clearing. Their secondary position. Pre-planned fallback location. He stopped the vehicle. Engine idling. Kowalski looked back toward Route Nationale 4. Through gaps in the trees, he could see smoke. Multiple fires. Black columns rising into the afternoon sky. Counted the smoke columns. 7 distinct fires. 7 burning Panthers. Webb's command M18 rolled into the clearing, stopped 15 yards away. Webb dismounted, walked toward Kowalski's vehicle. His face, combination of fury and disbelief. Webb stopped 3 feet from Kowalski's vehicle. His jaw was clenched, hands in fists, voice controlled but barely. You disobeyed a direct order. Kowalski climbed out of the turret, stood at attention. Yes, sir. You violated fire discipline doctrine. Yes, sir. You endangered your crew through unauthorized tactics. Yes, sir. Webb stared at him. 5 seconds, 10 seconds. Then Webb turned and looked back toward Route Nationale 4. The smoke columns were clearly visible. 7 distinct fires. Black smoke climbing into the clear September sky. Webb turned back to Kowalski. How many rounds did you fire? 9 rounds, sir. 9 rounds. Webb's voice was flat. Processing. Count the burning vehicles for me, Sergeant. Kowalski looked toward the road. 7 confirmed fires visible from this position, sir. Reconnaissance will confirm total kills. Initial visual assessment, 9 or 10 Panthers destroyed or immobilized. Is that your assessment? Yes, sir. 9 rounds. 9 kills. Webb was quiet for another moment. What was your hit rate? Morrison answered from the turret. Sir, we engaged 11 targets, scored hits on 9, hit rate approximately 82%. Webb looked at Morrison. 82%. During rapid traverse fire. Without proper aim. Morrison. Yes, sir. Sergeant Kowalski was traversing continuously. I was loading as fast as possible. We fired 9 rounds in 19.4 seconds. 19 seconds. Webb walked to the side of the M18, looked at the gun barrel, touched it with his hand, pulled his hand back quickly. Barrel is extremely hot. How many more rounds could you have fired before overheating became critical? Kowalski. Unknown, sir. Estimate 6 to 10 more rounds maximum. So, 15 to 19 total rounds before you rendered your gun inoperable. Webb was calculating. Against 11 targets, that is acceptable ammunition expenditure. Doctrine says 2 rounds per target. 22 rounds total. You used less ammunition than doctrine requires and achieved 5 times the results. Nobody spoke. Webb. Write an after-action report. Every detail. Timestamps. Round count. Traverse speed. Loading intervals. Hit assessment. Everything. I want it by 1800 hours. Kowalski. Am I facing charges, sir? Webb looked at him for a long moment. I should court-martial you for disobeying orders in combat. But I just watched you destroy an entire German column in 19 seconds with 0 American casualties. So, here is what happens next. You write that report. I forward it to battalion command. They decide whether you get a medal or a court-martial. Possibly both. Webb climbed back into his command vehicle, drove away. Morrison climbed down from the turret. We are not dead. Chen shut down the engine. We are not dead, and we killed 10 Panthers. Kowalski sat on the ground. His hands were shaking. Adrenaline leaving his system. He had just violated orders, risked his crew, and succeeded beyond any reasonable expectation. 1800 hours. Kowalski delivered his after-action report to Webb. 3 pages. Handwritten. Detailed timeline. Technical specifications. Results assessment. Webb read it twice, asked 4 questions. First, can you replicate this tactic? Kowalski. Yes, sir. If the tactical situation is similar. Road-bound targets. Close spacing. Element of surprise. Second, can you teach this to other gunners? Kowalski. Yes, sir. Requires practice with traverse controls and coordination with the loader. Estimate 2 days training minimum. Third, what are the limitations? Kowalski. Ammunition expenditure is high. Barrel heating limits sustained use. Only effective against massed targets. Does not work against dispersed formations. Fourth, if you had to do it again, what would you change? Kowalski thought for 10 seconds. Nothing, sir. The tactic worked exactly as calculated. Webb forwarded the report to battalion command at 1900 hours. Major Robert Sullivan commanded the 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion, 34 years old, combat veteran of North Africa and Sicily. Sullivan had commanded the battalion through 98 days of continuous European combat, lost 62 men, destroyed 47 German tanks, understood both doctrine and innovation. Sullivan read Kowalski's report at 2100 hours, read it 3 times, called Webb to battalion headquarters at 2200 hours. Sullivan. This report describes a fundamental change in engagement tactics. If accurate, this represents the most significant tactical innovation I have seen in this war. Is it accurate? Webb. Yes, sir. I witnessed the engagement. Kowalski destroyed 9 to 10 Panthers in 19 seconds. 0 American casualties. I confirmed the tactical sequence. Everything in his report is factually correct. Sullivan. Your recommendation? Webb. Test the tactic with other crews. If results are replicable, incorporate into battalion doctrine. Kowalski should face no charges. He disobeyed my order but saved lives and destroyed significant enemy assets. Sullivan made his decision immediately. Bring Kowalski here. 0600 hours tomorrow. I want him to brief every platoon commander in this battalion. September 15th, 1944. 0600 hours. Kowalski stood in front of 23 officers and senior NCOs. Battalion command tent. He explained the traverse fire tactic, described the theory, walked through the Lunéville engagement step by step. The reaction was mixed. Half the officers were skeptical. Violations of doctrine, waste of ammunition, unsustainable barrel wear. The other half were interested. 9 kills in 19 seconds was impossible to ignore. If replicable, the tactic changed everything. Sullivan ordered immediate field testing. September 16th. 3 M18s conducted live fire exercises against knocked-out German tanks. Used as stationary targets at 700 yards, arranged in column formation. Results: first crew achieved 28% hit rate during traverse fire. Second crew achieved 31%. Third crew achieved 24%. Average hit rate, 28%. Lower than Kowalski's combat performance but acceptable. More importantly, psychological effect. Multiple simultaneous impacts created impression, multiple American guns firing. Confusion factor was measurable even against static targets. September 19th. Another German column reported near Baccarat. 8 Panthers. Sullivan authorized traverse fire tactics. 2 M18s engaged. Results: 6 Panthers destroyed. 2 damaged. 0 American losses. Total ammunition expenditure: 47 rounds between 2 vehicles. Time to engagement: approximately 35 seconds. Kill ratio: 6-0. Versus standard doctrine historical average of 1.2 to 1. Sullivan sent detailed report to 12th Corps headquarters. Report included Kowalski's after-action report, Webb's tactical assessment, field test results, second combat engagement statistics. Corps Commander, Major General Manton Eddy, reviewed the report September 22nd, forwarded it to 3rd Army headquarters with recommendation for immediate evaluation. 3rd Army Commander, General George Patton. Patton read the report September 24th. His diary entry that night. Tank Destroyer Sergeant discovered what should have been obvious. Speed kills. Germans cannot shoot what they cannot track. Traverse fire is violence expressed through velocity. Why did we not think of this 6 months ago? October 1st, 1944. 3rd Army issued Tactical Bulletin 17-44. Subject: Alternative Engagement Tactics for Tank Destroyer Ambush Operations. Distribution: all Tank Destroyer Battalions in 3rd Army. The bulletin described traverse fire in detail, included diagrams, specified recommended employment scenarios. Emphasized: not a replacement for standard doctrine. Supplementary tactic for specific situations. Recommended use when multiple targets in close formation, targets road-bound or movement restricted. Element of surprise available. Ammunition resupply assured. By October 15th, 17 Tank Destroyer Battalions had trained crews on traverse fire tactics. By November 1st, 43 battalions. Combat results were measurable. September 1944, average kill ratio: 1.1 German tanks destroyed per American tank destroyer lost. November 1944 average: 1.9 to 1. 73% improvement in 3 months. The tactic spread beyond official channels. Tank destroyer crews talked to tank crews. Tank crews adapted the principle for Sherman tanks engaging German anti-tank guns. Same concept. Rapid traverse. Continuous fire. Confusion through unpredictability. Results: improved survival rates across armored formations. German intelligence, noticed by December, captured American tactical documents referenced traverse fire and rapid engagement techniques. German after-action reports mentioned American gunners firing continuously while rotating turrets. December 19th, 44. German tactical bulletin warned Panzer commanders. American tank destroyer tactics have changed. Expect rapid, continuous fire from unexpected angles. Recommend increased vehicle spacing. Avoid predictable road columns. Maintain irregular movement intervals. The Americans had forced German doctrine to change. But changing doctrine required training, discipline, and time. Time the Germans did not have by December 1944. Kowalski never received official recognition, no medal, no commendation. His name appeared once in Tactical Bulletin 17-44. Paragraph 4, line 6. Technique initially employed by Staff Sergeant R. Kowalski, 704th Tank Destroyer Battalion, September 14, 1944. but every tank destroyer gunner in Third Army knew the name. Kowalski's sweep became the unofficial term, the tactic that one sergeant invented by breaking rules that were getting soldiers killed. Raymond Kowalski continued combat operations through the end of the war. Final combat record: 23 confirmed German tank kills using traverse fire tactics. Survived, without serious injury. One of 7 original Normandy tank destroyer gunners from the 704th Battalion to complete the full European campaign. Promoted to Technical Sergeant December 1944. Offered battlefield commission to Second Lieutenant. Declined. His reason, recorded in his personnel file: "I am a gunner, not an officer." Lieutenant Webb survived the war. Promoted to Captain March 1945. Post-war interview, 1947. Kowalski saved my life by disobeying my order. The best soldiers know when doctrine does not fit reality. War ended May 8, 1945. American tank destroyer battalions destroyed approximately 3,400 German tanks during the European campaign. Estimated 800 to 1,000 kills attributed to traverse fire tactics developed from Kowalski's Lunéville engagement. Total American tank destroyer losses: 1,200 vehicles. Kill ratio improvement from 1-to-1 in June 1944 to nearly 3-to-1 by May 1945. Multiple factors contributed: better crew training, improved ammunition, superior intelligence. But tactical innovation, specifically traverse fire, accounted for measurable improvement. Kowalski returned to Detroit June 1945, went back to Ford. Assembly line work. Same job his father held. Married September 1946, 3 children. Never discussed the war at home. His children discovered his combat record in 1973. His oldest son brought home an Army ROTC training manual. The manual included a section on rapid engagement tactics for armored vehicles, described traverse fire methodology, cited development in European theatre, 1944. His son asked, "Did you know about this?" Kowalski answered, "I might have been there." 1981. Military historian researching tank destroyer operations contacted Kowalski. Found his name in 704th Battalion after action reports. Requested interview. Kowalski agreed. One condition: focus on the tactic, not him personally. Interview lasted 3 hours. The historian asked why Kowalski violated doctrine. Kowalski: "Doctrine did not count dead friends. I counted 6. Math said doctrine was wrong. Modern military analysis confirms traverse fire principles remain valid. M1 Abrams tanks incorporate automated rapid engagement systems. Israeli Merkava tanks use similar concepts for urban warfare. Russian T-90 tanks trained on multiple target engagement using traverse-based fire patterns. The technology advanced. The principle remained unchanged. Speed and unpredictability defeat enemies who expect predictable behavior. United States Army Armor School, Fort Moore, Georgia. Museum displays M18 Hellcat. Plaque describes vehicle specifications and combat record. One paragraph mentions M18 crews developed rapid traverse firing techniques that significantly improved kill ratios against German armor. 1944-45. No mention of Kowalski, no mention of Lunéville, no mention of one sergeant who broke regulations because following them meant dying. Raymond Kowalski died February 7, 2003, age 81, pneumonia, Detroit Hospital. Obituary mentioned. World War II. Veteran, 37 years Ford Motor Company service, survived by wife and 3 children. Did not mention 23 tank kills. Did not mention tactical innovation. Did not mention saving possibly thousands of American lives. His funeral, 14 attendees, family mostly. 2 old friends. 1 surprise guest, 82-year-old man in wheelchair. Lieutenant Colonel Marcus Webb, United States Army, retired. Webb traveled from Arizona to attend. told Kowalski's children. Your father saved my life, saved hundreds of other lives. Did it by having courage to question authority when authority was wrong. Webb gave the priest, family, a framed photograph. 2 M18s, France, 1944. Written on back. Raymond Kowalski, the gunner who changed how America fights. September 14th, 1944. 11 tanks, 19 seconds, 0 American casualties. Some rules exist to be broken by men smart enough to know when. That photograph hangs at Fort Moore today. Hallway outside the Armour Training Auditorium. Most officers walk past without stopping. But some stop. Read the inscription. Understand. Innovation comes from soldiers who see problems clearly, who count dead friends, who refuse to accept that doctrine is worth more American lives. Raymond Kowalski fired 9 rounds in 19 seconds, destroyed 10 Panthers, changed armored warfare doctrine, saved thousands of lives, never received a medal, never gave speeches, never sought recognition, just went home, worked, raised his family, died quietly. Somewhere in Europe, men who would have burned in tank destroyers lived full lives because one sergeant said, "Doctrine exists for a reason. Survival is a better reason."